Mr. Ned, how you doing? Yeah, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Messages in the Madness. Is yours truly, Vernon Longhorn Davis. Allow me to welcome you to spring. Yes, spring sprung in this week, and it's been glorious. It's been interesting. I was in California this past week. Been in California before, but I never got to make it. I made it. Well, went to San Diego, but we were like in the bay. We weren't in the, wasn't at the Pacific Ocean, but I got to see the Pacific Ocean, and it was beautiful. It was glorious. It was, yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed that. I did. So, and as some of y'all know, we are still celebrating 5 years of me doing some type of podcast. Now, there's only been Messages in the Madness for about 4 years, but hey, 5 years of every Sunday right here. Almost every Sunday, not every Sunday, but almost every Sunday. So, hey, Miss Marion, hey, Miss Ethel, good to see you. Miss Coley, that's right. Please like a love. And she says, howdy, cowboy, and hi, Madness family. Yes, that's right, Miss Ethel. Hello, spring. Miss Marion says, howdy, Mad fam. I know that's right. Time to work on that property value. Yeah, I got to get out there at it. And I know, yeah, I got to get out there at it. Hey, Roger, good to see you. Good to see you. So, this week's message comes from something that I heard. Hey, baby sis, it came from something that I heard, and it just kind of stuck in my head. And it was like, you know what? So what I heard was people say stop giving people room in your head and stop giving away your power. And I thought about that and I contemplated it and I flipped it around in my head. I said, that's what my message is going to be. I'm going to combine those two and make one message about stop giving away your power and stop letting people live in your head rent free. So be sure and like, love, share the message if you would. Um, hey, brother August, good to see you as well. But yeah, please like, love, share the message. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. We are broadcasting on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So let's get into it, y'all. Again, for those of y'all that are just joining us, make sure y'all make this interactive, okay? Come on, make sure you chat with me or whatever, all right? Instead of me just talking to y'all, hey, I'm here. Talk back. So tonight's message is called "They're Living Rent Free" because you gave them the keys. Yeah, they're living rent free because you gave them the keys. And again, good evening and welcome to another episode of Messages in the Madness. I want to start tonight with something simple, something so common we almost don't notice it. We don't notice that we're doing it, but if you really sit with this, if you let it get past the surface, it might hit a little deeper than you expect. So yeah, it's going to be kind of a deep message tonight, y'all. Hey, Annette, good to see you. Have you ever had a full, heated, detailed conversation with somebody and they weren't even in the room? I'm not talking about a quick thought or a passing, I should have said that. I mean, a real cinematic production. I mean, like the whole thing, a conversation where you said everything you wish you would have said the first time. You fixed the stutter. You sharpened the comeback. You finally delivered that knockout line that would have ended the argument. And in this mental movie, you even played their part. You responded for them in their exact voice. You knew exactly how they would react, how they would roll their eyes, how they would try to interrupt you. And you handled all of that too. By the time you were done with this imaginary confrontation, you felt a physical release. You felt like you finally got it off your chest. But here is the cold, hard truth, people. That person you were having a conversation with has no idea that conversation ever happened. Hmm. while you were pacing your kitchen floor, losing sleep, or gripping your steering wheel until your knuckles turned white, they were probably eating dinner, watching a movie, or sleeping soundly because they weren't part of that conversation. Hey, Miss Charlotte, good to see you. They didn't feel the heat of your words. They didn't experience the sting of your logic. When you really think about that, it tells you two things. It tells you how incredibly powerful your mind is. It can create an entire world out of thin air. But it also tells you how easily we give away the keys to our kingdom. See, in that moment, what you're really doing is giving somebody prime real estate. Prime real estate in your head. Space that they didn't even earn, space that they didn't ask for, and space they certainly aren't paying for. They didn't show up for the work. They didn't contribute to your peace, but somehow they still have a seat at the table of your soul. Huh. If we're being honest tonight, it's rarely just one person. Rarely just one person. For most of us, our minds are like a crowded apartment building. It's a collection of people, situations, and moments that we never fully let go of. I know we say, "Oh man, I let go of that. I'm done with that." But no, we never really let go. We forgive, but we don't forget. We move on, but we don't forget. Send me something in the chat. Let me know y'all with me. Let me know y'all hearing me tonight. Think about the tenants you're housing right now in your head, in that apartment building in your head. There's the supervisor from 3 years ago who overlooked you. There's that friend who stopped calling when things got tough. Yeah, we all got those. There's that relative who always has a backhanded compliment ready. I mean, they ready to just throw some BS your way. But over time, what started as a single fleeting thought turns into a pattern. And that pattern turns into a mindset. Before long, something that was never meant to stay past the weekend has taken up permanent residence. That doesn't happen by accident, people. Annette says she has 15 that she needs to vacate. Well, I'm gonna show you how to vacate those, okay? There was a specific moment, maybe years ago, maybe this morning, when something landed differently than it should have. It might have been a comment about your work, a look of disapproval, a tone of voice from somebody in your family that felt like a slap, or a situation that caught you completely off guard. Hmm. In that split second, you had a choice. You could have let that moment pass through you like a breeze through a screen door. Or you could have reached out, grabbed it, and decided to carry it. Most of us don't even realize when we're making that decision, but we make it anyway. We tuck it into our pockets. We carry it into the next part of our day. We bring it home to our families. We carry it into the next opportunity, letting it wait, slow our stride. Then later that night, we revisit it. We take it out and we replay it. But here's the danger. Every time we replay a memory, we don't just watch it. We edit it. We add a little more tone to what they said. We add a little more intention to why they did it. We project a whole narrative onto a 5-second interaction. We build a whole freaking movie from something that took 5 seconds to happen. Yeah. James August says, don't forget so I don't get in the same place again. There you go. Ethel says, time to evict. I agree. Roger says, I got a lot of voices and tenants in my head. I hear you, brother. Jerry, hey, Jerry, good to see you tonight. He says, I know as of late, I have really embraced being water on a duck's back. I just let it flow by. It's a great way to be, my friend. But at that point, it stops being about what actually happens and starts becoming what we believe it meant. Believe it meant. That shift is where the madness begins. Because now it's no longer just a memory. It's an inhabitant. It's a ghost living in your guest room, influencing everything you see and do. And there's a high cost for that mental space that you are giving someone that doesn't deserve it. That's how it moves in. It doesn't come in loud or obvious. It doesn't kick the door down. It settles in quietly like dust. And over time, it becomes familiar. The more familiar it becomes, the less you question it. And the less you question it, the more influence it has over how you think and how you respond to the world. Think about the math for a second. Somebody could say something to you in 5 seconds, a careless remark, a cruel joke, a dismissive no. 5 seconds of their time can end up taking up 5 years of your mental space. Think about it. Think about that imbalance of power. They gave it 5 seconds and then forgot it. You've given it 1,825 days and still counting. You can't remember what was said. You remember the temperature of the room. I'm sorry, you can remember what was said. You remember the temperature of the room. You remember the way your stomach dropped, and because you haven't dealt with it, you've started building your life around it. You don't apply for the promotion because you remember what they said about your leadership style. You don't trust a new partner because you remember how the last one walked out. You're building a fortress to protect yourself from a ghost that doesn't even have the power to hurt you anymore. Unless you keep giving them the keys. Hey, daughter, good to see you. Marion, kind of like the black olive. So Jerry says it's not really the effect of the statement that has planted and grown roots, it's the effects that it has in your future interactions with future contacts. That's very true. Very true, Jerry. So let's go a little deeper, y'all. Because for many of us, the heavy lifting we're doing today didn't start this morning. It started a long time ago. Somebody said something to you when you were a child. A teacher told you you weren't the creative type. A parent compared you to a brother or a sister and you came up short. A coach told you you didn't have the heart for the game. Huh. You may not remember the exact date or the exact hour, but you remember the way it made you see yourself. So, the reason it stuck is because you were young enough to believe it, but you weren't experienced enough to challenge it. You didn't have the tools yet to say, wait a minute, that's just your opinion, and your opinion doesn't define my reality. Instead of questioning it, you accepted it as a notice of eviction for your confidence. And once something gets accepted that early, it doesn't stay a comment. it matures into a belief. Once it becomes a belief, it starts to show up everywhere. Everywhere. It's the invisible filter over your eyes. It influences how you approach every opportunity. It dictates how you respond to challenges. It determines how you carry yourself in rooms where you deserve to be. I'm going to get to these comments in just a second. Uh, so when something small happens later in life, maybe a client cancels or a project fails, it doesn't hit as a standalone event. It connects to that old deep rooted belief. Suddenly, a minor setbacks feels like a total catastrophe. That's why some of our reactions feel so much stronger than the situation calls for. We make a mountain out of a molehill. It's not about the now. It's not about what's happening in your life right now. It's about then. It's about something that happened to you way back when that we never let move out of our head. I'm going to pause right there while I read these comments. Um, Baby sis says, your message about a month ago was how to be an active listener. We can't actively listen while typing a response. Give us a minute, bro. We always chime in with a thought, comment, mental clarity, etc. We're actively listening, but we're all here with you. As for the message, I know rent ain't free, and mine just increased by $55 starting in June. But I but I been stopped letting folks live free in my mind with their disrespect and or shenanigans taking up valuable space. I know that's right, baby sis. What else we got here? Do, 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 do. It's like the ghost of Christmas past. Huh. And I want to right cross her. Don't be hitting folks in that. No, let's not be doing that. You're right, baby sis. I did do a show about active listening, but do you know that was over 2 years ago? Now, if it just seemed like it was last month, then that was a good message. I'm gonna take that. There you go. So Jerry says the response to pain of reopening an old wound is usually an overreaction to some simulation. You're right. So the voice that sounds like you, because sometimes we do hear a little voice in our head and it sounds like us. But here's the most dangerous part of this rent-free living thing. Over time, that voice changes. It no longer sounds like the person who originally said it. It stops sounding like that teacher or that ex or that critical parent. It starts to sound like you. Yeah, you begin to second guess yourself before anyone else has a chance to. You hesitate before anyone else challenges you. You hold back your best ideas before anyone else can even question them. We often call this overthinking. We treat it like a personality trait or a quirk of a busy mind. But if we're being honest, overthinking is often just the echo of old voices that we never had the courage to silence. It's the sound of the tenant in your head complaining about the noise every time you try to grow. Okay, baby sis. All right. Yeah, we may have to we may have to do a recap on that one. Okay. There was a point in my own life where I had to take a very hard, very uncomfortable look at what I was carrying. I wasn't looking at my bank account or my physical belongings. I was looking at my mental and emotional luggage. I realized that I was holding on to things. Now, one thing I'm grateful for is I don't know how to hold a grudge. I don't know how to hold a grudge. I can be upset with you, but I can't hold a grudge. Um, but I was holding on to defenses and ways of speaking that had actually served a purpose at one point in time. I'm sorry, Annette, your comment caught me off guard. I don't know what you're referring to, my friend. So see what we have to be fair to ourselves. We do. We have to be fair to ourselves. That defensive version of you, it helps you survive. It helped me survive. It helps us to get through situations we don't fully understand when we were younger. It protected you when you felt unsafe. It kept you standing when the ground beneath you was shaking. But here's the realization I had to come to. You cannot step into who you are becoming if you are still holding on to who you had to be to survive. Mm. See, that survival version of you was temporary. It was a temporary suit of armor. It was never meant to be your skin. The problem is, the challenge is, a lot of us are still wearing the armor even though the war ended 10 years ago. We're still operating from a place of protection and defense, even though we are now in a season of growth and opportunity. That is why you feel so heavy. That is why you feel so exhausted. That is why it feels like no matter how much progress you make, there is a leash pulling on your neck. You're trying to run a race while carrying the weight of a version of yourself that you have outgrown. You're carrying a backpack full of bricks from a house that burned down years ago. It's time to put the bricks down. They aren't going to help you build a new house, a new home, a new apartment build. It's not going to do that. So I'm going to pause right there. I'm going to read these comments, then we're going to get to the next section. Jerry said, okay, hold on. And that says, my suit of armor became my skin. I need a heavy duty cloak of Jesus. Yes, we all have been there, and I do understand that more than you know. More than you know. Mr. Ness said, teach, yes, ma'am. Let's see. Jerry says, when you spend time overthinking, worrying, you usually are wasting time and making the situation worse in your mind than what would have happened. Your defense mechanism is doing is trying to work through every possible problem so you have a response to the situation. I have done this so many times and it has cost me years of my life. I can believe that, young fella. Baby sis said you just said the key. When you are going to let go what someone said to you when you were a child or in the past, you have to stop feeding the negativity. So much easier said than done, but it's only holding you back. And the person who put that seed of doubt is going on with their lives without a second thought about how they made you feel. Baby sis, that is so true. That is very true. Okay, she said, not saying you, but people in general. I was wondering about that because I hope I didn't say something. So, if y'all remember, I wrote a chapter in my book, Messages in the Madness, about climbing the mountain naked. Because see, this if you visualize a mountain and you being naked climbing this mountain, that's a that's a different kind of image. But because this image is the only way to truly understand the weight of your internal life, there really is. Um, Imagine two people at the base of a massive mountain. They start at the same trailhead. They have the same gear. They're headed to the same destination, but their approach can be more different. The first climber is moving freely. They're tired, sure, but they're focused on the path. They are looking at the view. Uh, because they are climbing naked. Now, when I say climb naked, I'm not just talking about a lack of clothes. I'm talking about a state of being. To climb naked is to climb with absolutely nothing to hide. You aren't carrying the baggage of who you used to be. You aren't wearing the armor of your past defenses. You aren't draped in the heavy, wet blanket of other people's opinions. When you're naked, you are exposed to the elements, yes, but you are also light. You are agile. You are in direct contact with the mountain. There's no friction between you, but between who you are and where you're going. You didn't surrender. You didn't surrender the need to look a certain way or carry it or carry it just in case bag. So there's no extra baggage. You've realized that to get to the top, you have to be willing to be seen exactly as you are. Hmm. Now, the second climber, however, is covered in layers. They're wearing three coats of what will they think of me. They got uh they got boots weighing them down with the lead of old grudges. They're carrying a backpack full of stuff with every conversation that they didn't win ever. No, I mean like never. They got every no that they've ever heard in that backpack. And in every label someone tried to stick on them. They are weighted down. Halfway up, the difference becomes undeniable. The person climbing naked is breathing. They might be tired, but they're moving with the mountain. But the person carrying the weight, they are suffocating. Not because the mountain is steeper for them, but because the clothes they are wearing were never meant for this altitude. They're sweating under the heat of old arguments. They're tripping over the straps of bags they should have dropped 10 miles ago, 3 miles ago, 50 miles ago. That is the visual I want you to keep in your head tonight. Okay, Annette, you say you walking away. And you should walk away from ignorant people. So, but that's the visual I want you to keep in your head tonight. If you're trying to reach a new peak in your life, you have to be willing to strip down. You have to be willing to leave the outfits behind, the professional mask, the tough guy persona, the victim cloak. You have to be willing to climb naked because the higher you go, the more wind will try to catch those extra layers and pull you off the cliff. The only way to stay on the path is to let go of some of that weight that's dragging you down. Jerry says, until recently, I never let Jesus carry my yoke. Jesus is there ready to take the yoke. I am in a current state of happiness that I have not experienced in a very long time. It's been a freeing experience. Man, I'm happy for you. I'm happy. I'm happy for you. Congratulations, man. Yeah, I've been catching your lives, and you've been talking about it. Very happy for you, man. So we also have to talk about. Oh man, I'm going way too long tonight. We also have to talk about how this shows up in our relationships because this is where the rent gets the most expensive. When a relationship ends, whether it's a friendship, a business partnership, or a romance, and it ends without closure, it leaves a massive gap. And human nature hates a gap. We want things to make sense. We want the final scene to have a clear resolution. When we don't get that final conversation, we do exactly what I mentioned at the start. We create one. We spend weeks, months, or even years replaying what was said and rewriting what we should have been saying. We win. We win the argument in the shower. We win the argument while we're laying in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. But the truth is, sometimes we don't let it go because that mental argument is the last conversation we feel like we have to have to that person. As long as we're thinking about them, it feels like the relationship is still alive, even if it's only alive in a toxic way. As long as we're replaying the tape, the story isn't over. But meanwhile, that person has moved on. They're living their life. They living their best life. And you stuck like Chuck as the curator of a museum dedicated to a ghost. You're carrying the weight of something that no longer exists in the physical world, but you're giving it a permanent suite in your mind. And let's be real about the modern world. There is a new way people move into our heads rent free. The screen is in your pocket. It's your damn phone. You could be having a perfectly fine day. You're at peace. You're focused. Then you spend 5 minutes scrolling through your phone. You see someone's highlight reel, their vacation, their new car, their perfect family. Suddenly you start comparing your behind the scenes to their center stage. You weren't questioning your progress 5 minutes ago, but now you are. You're wondering if you're behind. You're wondering if you're failing. In that moment, someone who might be just as miserable as anyone else behind the filters. Yeah. In that moment, someone who doesn't even know you exist, someone who might be just as miserable as anyone else behind the filters, has been given the power to influence how you feel about the life you've worked so hard to build. You just handed them the keys and they didn't even ask for them. I want to be clear about something. Letting go is not about pretending something didn't happen. It's not about forgive and forget in a way that minimizes your pain. It's not about ignoring the impact that a person or situation had on your life. Letting go is simply a business decision for your soul. It's about deciding that a particular person or event no longer gets access to your presence or your future. It's about recognizing that while that chapter may have been a part of your story and maybe even a very painful part, it does not get to hold the pen while you write the next chapter of your life. Your power isn't in what was said to you. Your power isn't in the closure you never got. Your power is in what you choose to carry from this moment forward. So here is the question I want you to sit with tonight. Jerry, I see your comment. I'm gonna talk about that. So here's the question I want you to sit with tonight. I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. Who is in your head right now? And what are they costing you? Are they costing you your peace of mind? Are they costing you the focus you need to start that business? Are they costing you the confidence you need to be a good parent or a good partner? Are they costing you the ability to take that next scary but necessary step in your life? Because I don't care. I don't care who they are or what they did. Whatever the cost is too freaking high. It's too high. The cost is too high. You don't have to fight every person who hurts you. You don't have to win every argument. You don't have to go back and fix every conversation. And you definitely do not have to explain yourself to people who have already decided who you are. But you do have to stop giving away your space. Stop giving away your power. You do not have to stop allowing things that don't serve you to have a vote in how you move. The shift happens the moment you realize that the door to your mind has a lock on it, and you are the only one with the key. Are you hearing me? Are you feeling me? Are you understanding me? That shift doesn't happen when the world changes. It happens when you decide what you no longer are willing to carry. Oh, how much of your power you're willing to give away. That decision doesn't have to be loud. You don't have to make a big announcement on social media. You don't have to put a sign in your front yard. You don't have to call up the person from 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 50 years ago, and tell them off. In fact, that usually just gives them more rent-free time in your head. And you give away your power at the same time. The most powerful decisions are the quiet ones, the ones where you simply say to yourself, I'm done with this. My mama used to say, you'll be sick and tired when you get sick and tired. That's when you know you're sick and tired of a situation. The most powerful decisions are the quiet ones, the ones where you simply say to yourself, I'm done. This no longer fits the person I am becoming. Once you make that decision, a real deep down decision, everything starts to move differently. You start thinking differently because there's no more room in there. You start responding differently because you aren't constantly on the defense. You start showing up in the world with a different kind of authority. Yeah, it happened for me, but we're not going to get into that. Not because the mountain got easier, but because you finally put the backpack down full of the crap you didn't need in the first place. So I'm going to close this up. Jerry, I got your comment, man. I'm going to talk about that in a second. As you walk away from this message tonight, I don't want you to just leave with a good thought or a nice quote. I'm sorry, quote. I want you to walk away with a decision. And if you've already made that decision, I want to reinforce that decision. Decide right now what no longer gets space in your head. What old piece of furniture, what person that doesn't need to be there anymore can you remove? What words that was spoke to you years ago that need to go and stop shaping the you that you are or the you that you are becoming? Decide what no longer gets to influence your confidence. Decide what no longer gets to shape how you see yourself when you look in the mirror. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. And once you make that decision, stand on it, 10 toes down. Stand on it. You could borrow a pair of my cowboy boots. Stand on it. Don't look back at the tenant. You just evicted them. Don't look back at don't look back at who you just evicted or what you just evicted. Don't wonder if they're okay. Don't wonder what they're thinking. Because not everything that entered your life deserves to go where you're going. Some people were just meant to be a lesson, not a life partner. Some people, yeah, they were just meant to be a lesson or a season. Yeah, heels down. Some situations were just meant to be a forge, not a home. When you truly understand that, you'll realize something powerful. You'll look at the space they used to occupy, and you won't feel anger. You won't feel regret. You'll just feel light, good light. You didn't lose anything. You didn't fail the argument. You just took your keys back. So, Jerry said, what did Jerry say here? Jerry, okay, is it upside down? Okay. Jerry said, you play a huge role in my change. You are an inspiration to me. Your genuine kindness is clear. I am blessed to be sir, I'm blessed to have you at my table. Thank you, sir. But thank you for your kind words. Well, Net, if you take back your power, maybe if you take back your power and remove those things and people out of your head, maybe, just maybe, your health will get better. Because see, when you feel good, when you feel good, you feel better. I'm just saying. She said loud and clear. Jerry said, I used to let people who would not pee on me if I was on fire to put the flames influence major decisions in my life because I gave their statement because their statement influenced power in my life. And that does happen. Thank you, Mr. Ness. She said, amen. Annette said, you all have a blessed week in Easter. Thank you for the awesome message. Yeah, Easter is coming up, ain't it? I don't think, no, we're not going to do a message next Easter. Are we? I don't know. I don't know if we're going to do an Easter message or not. So don't hold me to it. Okay. We'll see. Marion says, I've always said 30 minutes is not enough time for your messages. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. DC Fluffy says, people come into your life for a reason in a season. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. That's the message for tonight, y'all. Ooh, 45. I went 15 minutes over. I am so sorry, y'all. I hope you enjoyed the message. I hope I hope you enjoyed the message, and I hope it helps somebody. And be sure, and if you like the message, share the message, and make sure you hit like, love, or share and share. Um, so if there's no more comments, I'm gonna say what I always say. Thank y'all for well, I love you. God loves you. Take care of yourself. Love yourself. Respect yourself. Yeah. Hug them kids. Um, Vietnam Veterans Memorial Day. Okay. Baby sis says motivational, eye-opening food for thought message that resonates with each and every one of us. Thanks, bro. Wishing you and everyone an amazing week ahead. To you too, baby sis. To you too. But give them kids a hug for me, okay? And that says share with my cancer group tomorrow. You do that, yes. Respect our vets. This has been another episode of Messages in the Madness with yours truly, Vernon Longhorn Davis. God bless y'all. If we do have a show, fine. If we don't have a show, I'm gonna say Happy Easter. But right now, I'm leaning towards having a message. But we'll see. All right. So enjoy your week. Have a very blessed week. God bless y'all. $2.